Citizen TV have a very interesting program called Prison Diaries. In my view, this is Kenyan investigative journalism at its best. Now, there is a case that has been highlighted in this particular program that has really had Kenyans talking, and indeed Kenyans sympathizing and wondering what is wrong with our criminal justice system. Now, this is the heart-wrenching story of a man called Julius Wambua, who has spent the last 10 years at Committee Maximum Prison for a crime, it seems, he did not commit. Now, in my view, you can do very many bad things to a person. But when you take away 10 years, 10 precious years from the life of a person, I have no words for that. Now, what has happened in Bwana Julius Wambua's case is that the complainant, his daughter, has come forward and confessed that actually she lied to the court. She gave false evidence that what was supposed to have happened did not happen. But let us start this story, as usual, from the beginning. In 2007, Bwana Julius Wambua had problems with his wife. And the crux of the problem is that his wife wanted him to sell their land. She wanted the cash. She did not see any long-term benefit from the piece of land they had. At least, not the kind of benefit she was interested in. And so, what Bwana Julius Wambua did is succumb to her pressure. And he sold the piece of land for a measly 150,000 Kenya shillings. That is $1,500. And he divided the money, gave his wife 75,000 Kenya shillings, and remained with 75,000 Kenya shillings, and parted with her. Divorced, because obviously they could not walk on the same path. They did not see things the same way. And so what Bwana Julius Wambua did, he got hold of more funds and bought another shamba. And he married another wife, hoping to put his past behind him. But it was not to be. Now, according to Julius Wambua's daughter, the daughter he had with his first wife, a lady named Dorcas Mwende, his first wife was very resentful of the fact that he had remarried, and that there was another woman who was now going to enjoy Bwana Julius Wambua's wealth, or ability to generate the same. And so, according to the daughter, this woman hatched a plan, to get Bwana Julius Wambua out of the way. And this plan involved getting him locked up at the infamous Shimolatewa prison in Mombasa. According to this woman, most of the people who are jailed at Shimolatewa prison never come out. They end up dying in prison. And this was the whole idea. And this woman was going to use Dorcas Mwende, who was then a minor, in order to fulfill this objective. And so Bwana Julius Wambua was shopping one day in the local market, somewhere in Ukambani, and then suddenly some people approached him and they asked him to confirm what his name was. And then they informed him that the OCS, the officer in charge of the police station nearby, wanted to see him. And so his nightmare, which has never ended to date, started. He was arrested and locked up, and then presented before court and charged with defiling his own daughter, a minor. His own daughter was the main complainant, the minor. And of course, because it's a minor, she had to file the complaint through her mother. And Bwana Wambua was convicted and jailed for 21 years. Now, where this case gets super interesting is the number of people involved and what they did, in order to get this innocent man jailed for something he had not done. And we shall go into that immediately after the brief upcoming commercial break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, according to Dorcas Mwande, the daughter of Julius Wambua, a man who has been in jail for 10 years for a crime he did not commit, her mother used money in order to get her dad jailed. In other words, policemen and possibly lawyers were bribed so that this plan works. Also, according to Dorcas, her uncle was involved. Her uncle, who is a policeman, married to her auntie. And Dorcas says he too parted with money. And remember, the whole idea was to get Bwana Julius Wambua out of the way so that the shamba, the land, could be sold. The long and short of what I'm trying to say is that if this matter is finally investigated, and I believe it will be, there are very many people who will have to answer for this very evil thing they did to their fellow human being. Now, according to Bwana Julius Wambua, he asked the judge if it was possible for a DNA test to be done so that they get to the truth of this matter. He says the response he received was that a DNA test is very expensive. And so he asked, how much will it cost? And he was told 60,000 Kenya shillings. That is $60. And Bwana Wambua offered to pay for the DNA test himself. He said he had the money to pay for it so that the truth could be established. He says that he was told the time for a DNA test had passed, which is a very strange response, because what justice system has deadlines as to when a person who is accused can present new evidence or simply ask for a DNA test. Now, as I make this video, Bwana Julius Wambua is still behind bars. He's still at Committee Maximum Security Prison. And we can only wonder what kind of defense lawyer he had that he couldn't get a simple DNA test done to prove his innocence. But then, if we are to be brutally honest, this kind of things happen in Kenya all the time. And one of the main problems seems to be the fact that what policemen tell courts is usually taken as gospel truth by most of our judges and magistrates. Precisely what used to happen during the colonial rule, when Kenya was not independent. You'd have a Mzungu cop in court, and whatever evidence he gave the Mzungu judge was gospel truth. The African native was guilty. Most Kenyans will have heard of another case involving a former OCS at Ruaraka police station, Bwana Nahashon Mutua, who has been sentenced to hang for the murder of an inmate, a man who was called Martin Koome Manyara. And then what did he do? He framed another suspect for that murder. And the other suspect was in fact convicted. Obviously, it was very easy for this OCS, Bwana Mutua, to fabricate all this evidence against a very innocent suspect. Why? Because he's a policeman. And whatever the police says in court, the magistrate swallows hook, line, and sinker. Law enforcement officers must be right, and they're given the benefit of the doubt, irrespective of the evidence. And by the way, this same evidence is fabricated by the same policeman. Now, this thing becomes even much more disturbing when you realize that judges and magistrates in our country have been accused of being corrupt in the past. That means they receive money, usually through a lawyer, in order to rule on a case in a certain direction, the direction where the money wants the case to be ruled. And so, it is not hard to imagine a situation whereby judges and magistrates are quick to convict, so that other people appearing before them and realizing what has happened to the other suspects before them, will be quicker to remove bribes, so that their ruling goes their way. And so what we have ended up with in Kenya is a system not ruled by justice, but ruled by money. In the case of Julius Wambua, according to his daughter, the money was for him to be convicted, found guilty. And found guilty he was. Now, of course, this is only one side of the story. It is possible that Bwana Julius Wambua did something in his marriage that made his wife very angry, and his wife wanted to find a way to revenge against her husband or her former husband. That is very possible. But the question is, why do we have a justice system that made it so easy for her to do this evil thing against another human being? You know, in Kenya, the public really fear policemen. And the story of Bwana Julius Wambua should clearly tell us why Kenyans fear policemen so much. A policeman can really mess up your life. Even the case of Bwana Nahashon Mutua, the former OCS of Ruaraka, who framed a suspect for a murder he himself had committed. That clearly tells us a policeman in Kenya can do virtually anything to really mess up your life. Now, Bwana Julius Wambua has forgiven his daughter. In fact, there was a very tearful reunion in that Citizen TV program. Amazing to watch. Wambua's daughter, Dorcas Mwende, said that her conscience had really disturbed her over the years. She was a minor then, but she still knew, and it nagged her, that she had told lies in court. It is our hope and prayer on this channel that Bwana Julius Wambua will soon be free, and that all those involved in the plot against him will face justice, clean justice, where there's no money involved and where there are no corrupt policemen who want to have their way involved. Until next time, this is Chris, Kumekucha.